So again, welcome. Our sermon today, the title is White Supremacy. Perhaps a provocative title or a provocative phrase, as it might conjure up images of mobs and of hoods, perhaps of a lynching that you may have seen, or even of Charlottesville. Yet in 2017, actual white supremacists are not required in order to uphold what we call white supremacist culture. So I want you to really try and get a handle on what I'm speaking about today. When I speak of white supremacy, it's like when I speak of racism. I am not talking specifically about you or directly about you. No. To really take that in. I'm talking about and referring to a system. A system. Something separate, yet a part of you and a part of me too. Here's a definition I would like us to try. To see white supremacy as a set of institutional assumptions and practices, often operating unconsciously, that tend to benefit white people and exclude people of color. Today is November 18th, 2017. You noticed in your cover of your order of service, we're also honoring November 16th, which the United Nations declared the International Day of Tolerance. But on this day, we're going to choose to talk about what our Unitarian Universal Association and I'm so proud of this, 716 congregations throughout the United States chose to do what we're doing a little bit of today. I don't know how many, anybody know how many UU congregations in the United States? I hear about 1,000. So out of those 716, and counting today, 717, have chose to have this discussion. And for that, I'm happy. Because I believe it is through discussion and reflection that things change. I would like to quote the UA, and they say, quote, "Dismantling white supremacy is faith formation work." Dismantling white supremacy is faith formation work. When I say that, I'm reminded I just met Abbott, who is visiting us from Berkeley, or Berkeley, as I like to call it sometimes. And it was at Star King where I first saw a curriculum that drew my attention, because like white supremacy, oppression for a lot of people is something, it's even hard to recognize people who want to recognize that oppression exists. And here was this school in Berkeley, not only recognizing that it exists, but they have an entire curriculum dedicated to educating to counter oppression. So thank you for that reminder. Yes, so that was one of the things that attracted you to Starcade. Not only do they have a curriculum, but it is mandatory that every graduate of Starcade is involved with learning and being educated how to counter oppression. So it's a good recognition of the systems in which we live. This is important for me because I believe no one, and I do believe no one, is born a racist. Anybody, we got a lot of Googlers and historians around here. Anybody know the guy who came up with the concept of the 5 races? This is a name I want you to remember. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. One of my favorite guys in history. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. Hey, I got an idea. Let's see. He came up with 5. And we all know what they are. We've accepted them. Be clear, I did. I was educated same school as you were. Caucasian, blah, 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 blah. And I realized, hey, that's a man. That dude made that up. One of my other favorite things is, I don't know if you can see, you see the shoes I got on? Yeah, you like, hey, what color are those, that little round sole there? Say it again. White. You ever seen any people that color? It's funny. 7 generations from now, they're going to say, what was up with y'all? If it's so funny, why did all this stuff happen? And then the other color of my shoes, the leather part. What color is that? You ever seen any people that color? KRS-One, the great rapper, laid it on me 40 years ago. No. But we know when I say white people, or a white person, a white male, 5'9", 180 pounds, you know who I'm talking about. And if I say a black male, 6'2", 210, you know who. Same way we were taught, we caught, and we bought this whole idea of race. Same thing applies to sexism too. Shout out for the women right quick. We talk about this one today. But that's how that goes. And it happens, you understand, consciously or unconsciously. We walk around and it's institutional. It's by custom. It's by law. So today I want us to show up and be clear. Not an expert. No expert here. Let's be clear. And I invite all of us to show up as not experts, but as explorers. To being open to whatever we may discover. Building a faith full of people who understand that key distinction is essential. It's essential as we work toward a more just society in this difficult political times. What's it going to take? I know one key ingredient. Reverend Marisol Caballero reminds us. She says, courage will be the key. Courage will be the key. Courage is not believing that anyone is helping or coming to the assistance of members of marginalized groups. No. Rather, it is recognizing that the need to play Savior, comes from societal brainwashing, caused by, there's that word again, systems that convince some they are superior over others. Courage is seeking one's own liberation, not the liberation of others. I want to say that again. Courage is seeking one's own liberation. One's own liberation from these lies. Knowing it will require, oh, here comes the fun part. It will require a relinquishment of power. And an admittance that they have been bamboozled. She says, you've been bamboozled. I've been bamboozled. We've been bamboozled. Courage does not require perfection from us, and I'm so happy she wrote that. Or airtight plans, or even expertise. But I'll tell you what courage does require. Courage requires taking great risks while stepping into the unknown. That's all. End of quote. So it has become clear to me that in order for us to be more effective at tackling this system of white supremacy beyond our walls, and I must do a plug out for UUA and UU in general, the history continues to warm my heart for the social justice work that you've already done and that the movement continues to do and has done over the years. But the challenge now is also to identify ways in which these systems find themselves within our own congregation. Ways in which systems of supremacy and inequality live within our faith and our lives. How many of you were here when Reverend Carla Brocky spoke a few weeks back? Yeah, great. She shared her congregational commitment to dismantling white supremacy and the journey that her congregation in Prescott has undertaken as they. So I wanted to send thank you and blessings out to her as they do that work. I want to share with you a little story from an author of a book called We Cannot Teach What We Do Not Know. Gary Howard, as a white man, writes, and I quote Mr. Howard, he says, quote, "Racism for whites has been like a crazy uncle who's been locked away for generations in the hidden attic of our collective social reality. Now, this old relative has been a part of our life for a long time. Part of our family for a long time. Now, everyone knows he's living with us. Everyone knows he's living with us because we bring him food and water occasionally. But nobody wants to take him out in public because that old uncle can be an embarrassment. It can be just a pain to deal with. Yet our family's secret is this: our crazy uncle is rich. And the rest of us are living, either consciously or unconsciously, off the wealth and power he accumulated in his heyday. Now, even though many of us may disapprove of the tactics that he used to gain his fortune, very few of us want to be written out of his will. Yes. This legacy of racism, which has been fueled and legitimized by our assumption of rightness, has haunted the house of collective white identity for centuries. End of quote. Gary Howard. He paints a beautiful picture for me of this crazy uncle. I got a crazy uncle, okay, right? Same kind of thing. Everybody got a crazy uncle. But it's something I like you to sit with. I'm thinking back now to New Orleans, back at GA, at the annual General Assembly, where thousands of UUs come together and commiserate and share stories and attend workshops. It was during the opening ceremony at GA this year. As some of you may know, there were 3 interim co-presidents appointed in the UUA over the last year. And they happen to be 3 people of color. And they are kind of representing what's happening within our congregation in terms of, for lack of a phrase, I'll call shared power. The idea of a collective, the idea of a hierarchy, generally as a president and a vice president. They're looking at, wait, that's okay. But they're taking a look at the system that came out of. What does that perpetuate or not? And they're looking at modeling other ways of leadership. What if we had, what if we had 2 women, like we have now, who are running the UUA, not the president, but I forget the other position. It was not the chief operating officer. They're modeling it now. 1 white woman and 1 black woman. They're co-leading. And they're putting this out as another way to be. So those 3 co-presidents offered some words for us, and I'd like to share them with you at this time. And they said, quote, "We know that the culture in which we live, our habits of heart and mind, tend to bind us to a world in which all of us are not yet welcome. We are in and of this world. Just as we work for its transformation, more of us see this now, or to be more accurate, we glimpse its truth. Yet as a community, we have traveled far. And I want to say that again, to give the UU some stroke. Because that's one reason I'm here. Because I did my homework, and what I read blew my mind 5, 6 years ago. In southern Mississippi, at a place called Our Home Universalist Church. Not only full of white folks like this, but old white folks too, older than y'all. If you're older than y'all look young. And I got my little mind blown when I walked in this church with my unconscious, stereotypical story about what this must be in Jones County, Ku Klux Klan, Mississippi. Ah, but on the wall was something else. What? Fighting for black folks' rights, gay rights, and women's rights since 1906. And that's what I said. Who are y'all? They said some version, we're UUs. And they call us no hellers, because we don't believe in hell. And from that introduction has a lot to do why I'm in your face today. So we want to give that community some stroke. So as a community, we've traveled far, we've worked hard, learned much. We would not even be able to glimpse the truth of these days if we had been asleep all these years. So I really want to offer that you take this uncomfortable feeling, this anguish, as an opportunity. Really, what's happening in the world is a great opportunity. If you've not been asleep all these years, we wouldn't be having this conversation if you'd been asleep. Like the flawed world in which we live, this community has a history that is waiting to be redeemed. Will we search for the opportunity in this time? Will we find a way to move forward together? 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 Will we renew our community to build the world we dream about here and now, and tomorrow as well? So we gather at a time of decision, given yet another chance. Help us find the hope in our history and the courage. Is that word again? Remember courage? You will probably just kind of into the unknown. It's okay. Okay. We gather at a time of decision, given yet another second chance. Help us find the hope in our history and the courage to accept this present opportunity with an embracing love. Spirit of life, help us answer your call with a faithful yes. And I mentioned the other 3 co-presidents of color who have now been replaced by our current president, Madam President Susan Frederick Gray. And I'd like to share some words with you from her. She said, and I quote, as a larger movement, as the Unitarian Universal Association, we are being called, first elected female, by the way, into a deeper and stronger partnership with Black Lives of Unitarian Universalists, called BLUE, the acronym BLUU. And it is an organizing collective. This winter, the UUA is inviting congregations to come together in support of the Promise and the Practice campaign to invest in the ministry and organizing of BLUE. This campaign recognizes that centering black leadership is critical to building an intersectional approach to our justice and our community work that is free from white supremacy, and I throw in and his knucklehead brother, patriarchy. They kind of come together. I'm working with both of them too. Yeah. Yours in love, Susan Frederick Gray. So I'll leave you with the words of James Baldwin. Not everything faced can be changed. Not everything faced can be changed. But nothing can be changed until it is faced. Blessed be.